Hey, welcome. Welcome to Cheryl and Lynn's world today. That's how I'm going to call that today. If only you knew what we were talking about. But I guess you'll never know because the play didn't hit. So we have a great topic today, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Lynn Serrano and
The Sheryl Eisenhour
show. You see? Sheryl Eisenhour show.
Sheryl show.
That's right, the Cheryl show today. Not the shit show, but the Cheryl show on Wednesday. It's hump day. If you didn't realize, it is hump day. It's not Tuesday today.
I don't know. I'm still working with Tuesday. I have all day
Are
long.
you?
It's unreal. So thank goodness for calendars.
Right? Exactly. And appointments sometimes. Some that we make and some that we wish we didn't make. But that's for another show. That's for a great topic for next time. But today we're going to talk about what little things can you do to make big things happen. And sometimes I think, Cheryl, it starts with the calendar
It does.
and
I mean,
map.
the thing is, Lynn, we all think that we got to do the big stuff to make big stuff happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. In fact, I started to put the background of a ripple effect. And I maybe will use the words I was too lazy to put up my green screen, or it's in there and I'm in here. I'm not real sure which it is. But it's all about the ripple effect for me. And I think you walk that same road.
Yeah. And I think the thing is people don't understand. Compound effect book is really a good one for analogies and for getting the concept of what we're talking about. But really, if we realize that at least if you start a sentence a day, you'd end up with a book by the end of the year. I mean, it's just truly can be that easy. I was talking to Debbie the other day, and I used to love running until my legs got really bad. But I told her I love and miss the runner's high. And she's like, I don't know about that. I'm like, no, I loved it because when you realize your mindset is like, oh, I'm going to just go to this tree or I'm just going to go to this point. And you get to that point, you realize, look, you can really push yourself to the next level. When you realize it's all about your mind over matter. And if you let that bother your mind, it's going to matter the wrong way. So it really is the perception of how you see things and what you're doing. So it is true. If you can't eat an elephant all in one bite, all in one day. So again, it's taking those little bite size. And sometimes even when I'm in pain or something, I don't say, oh, I can't wash clothes or I can't do this or I can't do that. I go, you know what? If I'm getting up to get the dog out, what can I do in my travels to go that way, to do things and vice versa? I make it like a game. I just make it like, and good example, if you got a doctor's appointment or anything, either you got Kindle on your phone, you can read something, you can put ear pods in and listen to a audio. There's like so many different things that you can fill into crevices that by the time you're done, it's done. And it's not a big issue.
Well, you brought up a point that I'm gonna segue with you. I've worked under Zig Ziglar for a while, and one thing Zig did, he has multitudes of books out there. I'm not even sure what the number is. And people asked him one time, how do you take time to write a book? He said, I've never written a book. And, the thing was, excuse me. And his answer was, I sit down every day and I write at least a page. And he said, before you know it, I have what you call a book. I just have a lot of pages that turned into a book.
Yeah. And Scott uses the analogy because I did drive from actually Florida to New York. But, it's true. You can't look any further than where you're at. And the thing is that it's just like the plane. You can't go from California to New York without knowing what direction you're going to go. And if you're not aligned to that direction, you're going to end up somewhere else. You're going to end up off the mat. And I want to say hi to Bob Donnell. He's doing some really good stuff out there. And so the thing is that people get so overwhelmed, and there's that good book. It's not who, but how, or yeah, it's not how, but who. There's just so many different ways to look at things. And when you look at them different things happen. So people stop from being successful or stop from doing what they want to do because they're like, oh, but that's going to take work, and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. And then they crumble their dreams before they even start. So they don't dream because they feel like they're being realist. I'm being real right now. There's just no way that's possible. But if you share your dreams and desires with the right people, everyone together that supports you can catapult you to where you want to be. And again, if you have really shitty friends, you're going to get a shitty outcome, and obviously you can't dream. So the easiest thing to do is to level up and to just find other people that support you. And Scott's become such an artist. He can draw like nobody's business. He's so amazingly talented. But if he didn't take that time to figure that out, he wouldn't know where his talents are. Like, we should expand and do different things, and we should expand and try things. And there's nothing wrong with saying, did it once, didn't like it, next. You're not going to know if you don't even try it.
True.
That's why the marketing, they say, hey, there's a 90-day, 30-day back guarantee. And they do that because they're giving people an out. You don't want to do this, that's fine. But most people don't even get their money back because they don't want to admit that they quit. So, there's no, but the point I'm trying to say is that give yourself that room of error or to fail forward or whatever. I mean, it's people overwhelm themselves for no reason. That's my point.
And many people, the reason they can't go forwards, they're always looking back. They're always looking in that rear view mirror. And you said, look in the mirror, look out the front. Yeah, I see so many people that are looking on the what happened before now. And they're assuming, and we know what that means,
Yeah.
that it's going to happen again. But, people always ask me, they say, how do you always pull off plan A? I said, plan A? I have never completed a plan A. I said, usually by the time you see it, I'm on plan G, H, I, somewhere in there. But you go a little ways. If it doesn't work, you redirect, you make it work. But you can't quit. And that's the second thing. Other than looking in the rearview mirror, people, like you say, they quit too early.
Yeah.
And that doesn't get you anywhere either. I mean, I'll be a pest before I quit. You know what I'm saying? Once I get my mindset, and that's where I've got to go. I've got to get my mindset on it. The bad thing about being a high D, you got to have your mind into it first. And our minds kind of go in 50 different directions. So, but this is the way you've got to do regardless. Like you say, fail forward.
Yeah. Well, I think more than anything, thinking it's a good thing and it's a bad thing at the same time. It could be a bad thing, but the good thing is continue to be creative one way or another. Continue to allow your mind to expand of all the different possibilities. But think of the ending goal in mind, and having that what you want is always going to win out, and you're always going to get the right steps to take it. Some people may know that it only takes 3 steps to get there. You may think it's 50 steps, but if you have that end in mind, it really allows you to get other people on board and help you with that. So again, like they say, there's no dumb question. There's no dumb thing to do something small, knowing that if you eat right, or if you drink water, or if you do certain things, a little bit is better than doing nothing.
Well,
And
go ahead. I'm going to refer to something. I mean, I've never followed the steps. Okay. Thank God I've never had to. But in alcoholism, I watch people, it seems like way too much having to follow the 12 steps. They don't give you a jumped up plan. They give you the steps.
Steps.
They
Yeah.
give you the order. And that's where we've got to go. Now I'm gonna throw Lynn under the bus. When you in a way, you've
Yeah.
come such a long way because
Oh.
when I first met you, you could kick a dead horse for hours. The word
Yeah.
overthink and Lynn went into the same sentence, okay? You
So
still do it sometimes and we have to pull you out. But no, you've come a long, long
thank
way.
you.
But I think that's where a lot of people do. They overthink things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let crap happen.
And that's really what I've been doing. I've been living in the moment. And I mean, I sometimes realize I usually love to be prepared for things. And yet my creative stuff doesn't happen till before a show. And I'm like, I'm just a third person going, okay, this is how she rolls, and I have to accept it. And I'm like, you know what? She hasn't let me down yet. So if that's how I roll, so I don't overthink it anymore. I just say, and I have demands. I mean, I like to have quality productions and things like that, but I'm like, it's just taking the little steps and saying it's all going to work out. And really, we waste a lot of time worrying about when things are going to work out when they don't.
Well, it's even like the podcast. I mean, yeah, let's figure. I don't do a lot of planning there either.
Yeah,
We plan the title, and then I'm pretty much I do a lot of flying by the seat of my pants, which a lot of times is not good. You retract a lot of statements by doing that. But I have found out that the more I plan, the more screwed up things get. I mean, if I'm doing a presentation, do I want to have it done? Yes. But the more I go over it, the more I try to change it and the worse it gets.
right.
So I don't know if I've been lucky or either I've really made some really enemies out there by just saying it off the cuff. But it works for me. It does
Yeah,
not work for everybody. I have people in our coaching business, they plan everything out and they do a lot of due diligence. And I like to do a quick one, like right before we do the program, if I remember the topic that we're talking about, uh, is to maybe do a little quick search. But I kind of like what comes from the heart a lot more sometimes than what comes from the mind.
yeah. I
And
like that.
we repeat a lot because it kind of hits the heart twice and the mouth strings three times. But yeah, I eat a lot of leather. But I think people know I'm honest when I come up here. I'm way too transparent. So
Nothing wrong with that.
that I like. And you are too in a lot of ways. And I think that's why we're good here because if our opinions don't match, so be it.
Yeah. Yep. At the end of the day, I really want people to understand though, think big, be big, but your steps don't have to be big. Um, they just have to go in that right direction. Don't run from what scares you. Face what you scare, and then you can conquer it, and you can move on. It is amazing when you can realize that you don't have to be a prisoner of your thoughts and a prisoner of your heart's desires. You just truly have to believe and feel what you want in order to have it. And if it takes little things, there's people that do little side gigs that become their passion and become the thing that they do the most. And that's how it started, with a little side gig, whatever it is. So if that's how you have to look at your little things to become dreams, that's how you do it, as a hobby. Yeah, that's why some businesses were a hobby. All of a sudden it became their passion and their purpose. So I mean, look at it that way. If anything, anybody successful out there, one thing I love is always asking and knowing, so how did you get started? How did and I even liken that about relationships. I love saying, how did you meet? When did you fall in love? These are the things that when you discover, people's stories are not cookie cutters. They're all different and they all started some people will, well, first I started this way and I had no idea I would be a president or a billionaire. It's just amazing because when you hear the stories, you realize they were shooting for the moon and they ended up in the stars, and so again, just shoot for something as opposed to just stay stale and stagnant and having regrets.
And if the goal you're heading for or the passion that you're heading for, if you get to that wall and it's not the right one, veer.
Pivot.
Go where you need to go. Uh, Not everybody can enjoy their business forever. Some of us can. I've always enjoyed what I did, and most of them started just from a quick idea. And so I've been lucky and I've been very fortunate in that happening. But you're not screwed into a lot of things.
Yeah,
Just pick your time and like you say, you use the word pivot. Pivot and go towards your dream. And you can't give up your past right at that moment till you can reach out for your dream a little bit. But as long as you're here, change can happen.
absolutely. As long as you're breathing, change can happen. You're writing your story every second, every moment. So any other last words before we leave?
Not just join us next week. Have no idea what we're going to be doing, but I think it's going to be fun. But take off those little things and start molding them together and watch your life grow.
Absolutely. I love talking to you, Sheryl. This is like my part of the week that I love the most. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. You have a great, happy Wednesday, hump day. And that Debbie find it. She's going to be finding a Ohio State former legend coach and then a doctor. So it's going to be really great. So I love you guys. Have a good one and we'll see you soon.
You're like a circle